Hey guys, Elite Legionario here, bringing you a 1 vs 1 follow-up to the last battle I did. Same guy. This is for run 2 of course. I'll be playing the Masakate this time, and of course he's bringing Sparta, which is going to make this extremely challenging. If you look at the balance of power here, it's very much against me. So it's going to be very challenging. My army consists of 6 units of noble horse archers, and I believe it was 7 units of Saka Cataphracts. My opponent's army is a huge pike and spear spam, basically, which is a very good way to counter the kind of build I've got, so there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to go to slow motion here while I explain what I was aiming to achieve in this fight. Why won't it go to slow motion? What the hell? Okay, I don't know, it won't let me do that. Anyway, well basically what's happening is he's got I think 10 Spartan pikemen, 4 Royal Spartans, 2 Royal Spartans, 2 Heroes of Sparta, and I believe it was 5 Spartan Hoplites. So a huge Spartan spam basically of all sorts of types. Very counter to this army. What I'm doing here is I'm using heavy shot and I'm concentrating fire onto this unit. As you can see, it's just a few volleys and this unit's already down to 86 men, so it's lost nearly 40 men. And I haven't actually concentrated all of them onto it. Now I'm going to start. You're going to see all my guys using heavy shot. I'm going to use them onto this unit here, and this is from the front, I might add. So let's just get some nice close-ups of these guys trying to hold out against this. Here's the arrows inbound. And they're just getting absolutely massacred. Literally, they're down to, what are they down to? They're down to 21 men. So I just completely destroyed a whole unit of 120 pikemen just with combined heavy shot. Now, heavy shot's extremely excellent and great at penetrating armor-based units. However, the problem that I'm going to encounter here is the fact that I only have 6 of these noble horse archers, and there's so much Spartan infantry here that I cannot, I can't deal with all of them with as much arrow fire as I would have liked. I didn't want to skip out on Saka Cataphracts though, because these guys are the best cavalry in the game at the moment. They're slightly better than Royal Cataphracts, so they're extremely good. But the problem is, it was hard to know how many horse archers I needed and how many heavy cataphracts I needed. So what I did was I got the noble horse archers because I realised I'd probably run out of arrows, so I wanted a decent horse archer that could help in a melee battle. So what I probably should have done is got a unit down, a cheaper horse archer unit that still had heavy shot, and then got more Saka Cataphracts, or had more of them. I only got 6 of these guys. I should have had probably more like 10 horse archers. That would have been more efficient in the long run, but it's always hard to know, because I thought, well, I'd probably run out of arrows, I'm going to need some decent horse archers to be able to hold a little bit in the melee. So that's why I got the higher quality ones, but it kind of turns out to work against me. So as you can see, there's another unit of these Spartan pikemen completely destroyed. But I was trying to get to the general actually, but I think they can fire while on the move. That might be why they're still shooting. So I'm going to move some of my cataphracts this way and some this way. I'm going to try and basically perhaps like feint with one side and attack with another side, try and kind of mess with his micro a bit. So that's what I was trying to achieve here. And I think because I left fire at will on, they targeting these guys and they did lots of damage, but I was really just trying to get the general, which is a Heroes of Sparta unit. They're good to get that out of the way. If I remember correctly, he had about 2,400 men. I had 730, I think, so he has more than 3 times as much troops as I do, so I'm in a pretty tough spot. And to counter that fact that they're all pikes and spears, which are going to be good against my cavalry, I knew this was going to be difficult, and I wasn't certain I was going to be able to win it. But what I want to demonstrate is how effective heavy shot is and how powerful Saka Cataphracts are, and how you can combine the two to be very deadly. And also wanted to show kind of like a good, just, you know, this guy was pretty patient. Like I tried splitting him up as much as I could, and I did a couple of times, but he kept reorganising himself and staying together, and eventually his overwhelming numbers and tight formations actually worked to come against me here. So even though I really tore into his line, and if you're an inexperienced player, or if you come up against an inexperienced player, he'll start chasing around the cavalry, and then you can just bop them off one at a time. So this is a bit of a, you know, my hats off to this guy, because he kept himself together and didn't allow what I was doing here to kind of dictate him what was going on. As you can see, he's lost crap loads of infantry just to missile fire alone. I have not even begun charging. And some of you are probably thinking, oh, leader, you're not going to be able to stop all those Spartans and stuff with cavalry. Don't you believe it? I can stop them if I do it right. But what's actually in his favour is sheer numerical value. He's got so much troops, if you know what I mean. That's going to be a really big ask. But these Saka Cataphracts are more than a match if they get a good charge. I mean, you obviously don't want to go straight into a pike unit, but if you hit its side or the back, that unit is dead meat very quickly. They are an extremely good unit. They're the best cavalry in the game as of patch 1.5, which is the one at the patch when I did this, and I think it's still the patch at the moment. So, you know, this could definitely be done, but this guy has got so much, and it's going to be really tricky. But I'm not just like, I was trying to win, but I was also just trying to kind of, got this build because it's all cavalry, which means I have to micro quite a bit, and I want to try and work on my micro, because if I can get it up, no matter what you say, strategy certainly is a big part of it, but micro is equally a big part of these Total War games. And if you want to get good at them, you need to be quite swift on your keyboard and your mouse and whatever. And that is a big part of the game. So getting cavalry factions where you've got to be moving around lots is a good way to do that, because you've got to be constantly moving, keeping a very tight eye on many places at once. I was pretty pleased with how my micro was this fight, to be honest. I do have a bit of a complaint though, in that nothing against my opponent, it's actually just the mechanics of the game here. You'll see a few occasions in this fight where my cavalry, I'll disengage them, but one or two of them will get stuck, and then the whole unit will turn around and go back and out against my orders. So here I'm going to get a side charge on these Spartan pikemen. 38 they got there. How many do I get rid of? Not very many, because he comes in with support here. So I'm going to disengage, but oh, sorry guys, that spin. While he did that, I made a charge over here. Now these are only Spartan hoplites, which is still a good hoplite unit, but in all that charge they managed to kill 3 men. I killed about I think I killed about 20, so I got better off there. And while that was happening, I charged these guys, you see. So basically what it is I'm using one area to create a feint and then putting pressure on another. And as you can see, what's happened is it's caused him to kind of lose track of what he was ordering, and units like this Royal Spartan here get completely isolated. So I can now counter-charge them while they've got no support to help them. And when that happens, I can dish out a lot of damage on them. As you can see, it's breaking up his line, bringing his general into assist. That's a good way for me to try and single that out and kill it, because if I kill his general, that should help my army overall. So here I catch this unit of Royal Spartans, which is a very good unit, completely singled out, and these Saka Cataphracts will just absolutely destroy it. They are incredibly good. There you go, routing. Even with the general Heroes of Sparta, 2 Heroes of Sparta in support, my Saka Cataphracts and Horse Archers destroy it very quickly. Here we go, let's get a close-up of this charge. I think I can carry through with this charge. So the point is, guys, you know, these Saka Cataphracts are really good, but you got to kind of be pretty tense with the micro. So there's a good smack. There you go, completely encircle that lot. Has to break it up here to try and support. Now I'll use the slot up here to kind of put pressure on up here. So he's got to constantly keep looking. But I'm going to get his general, which is what I was aiming to do that entire time. Here, and there's a bit of a problem though. When it gets this clustered up, it's hard to get units in this game to disengage, particularly cavalry. It's very frustrating. I've well and truly ordered all these units to disengage, and a few outer ones did so very well. But you might see here, like, a couple of units get snagged up and they'll turn around and come back, and this is not my ordering them to do it. Let's see, this unit here, see this unit here, I at no point told it to do that. This unit here, they're going back because 1 or 2 of the units got stuck in the fight. I didn't tell it to do that. That was really mucking me up in this fight. It doesn't happen too often, but it's frustrating when it happens. So here I got a bit of a charge on these Spartan pikemen. I took down about 20 of them. Didn't lose too many cataphracts either because I caught it in the side. But what's kind of working against me here is I am taking out a lot of his infantry. As you look at this battlefield, there's a lot of dead Spartan infantry. But it's like I said at the start, there's just so much of it that over time it's like an attrition battle. I just don't have enough to deal with it. I have good stuff, just not enough of it. So here I'm going to get it. I was tempted to get another charge here, and the good thing is these guys are all out. You know, the Spartan pikemen are very good support units because I cannot charge them head on. If I get stuck in a melee fight with one of these Spartan hoplites, he can bring his pikemen into my flank. But these guys, if they get singled out, I can encircle them, and they are much easier to kill. So he knows he made a big error by moving away from his line like that, because I singled out a lot of his units, took out a lot of his men, and lost very few in the process. So obviously at this stage I've run out of arrows, but this is where the noble horse archers prove very handy. If we look at some of these guys, they've already got way up over 100 kills. Much more than the Saka cataphracts, but they haven't really seen a whole heap of action just yet. But he's getting himself back into formation. This is smart. But here I see a unit that's isolated. It's still a bit isolated, and I'm going to charge it again. And I'll bring my Saka cataphracts in as well. However, he's pulling off again, but I'm trying to basically get him to do the same thing again while I keep rotating my strikes. Over here, it's a bit thin over here, so I'm going to put pressure on again from the top. So it's kind of what you've got to do. I've got to try and it's a game of micro. It's a game of attrition. It's you know, and of course micro is not my thing, as I've said in the past. But this is a good way for me to get better at it. But these guys got stuck. Unfortunately, one of them was a Saka cataphract as well, which is bad. Although fortunately it seems to have regrouped, but see, it's going back in. Not my orders, you see. One or two of them units get stuck, the whole unit goes back to help it. It's not a good thing. Here I charge the Spartan pikeman, get it in the flank. He's going to disengage this one and pull it into formation, so, you know, I've got to get out. Don't want to get snagged on those guys, because I will lose that fight. But now these Saka cataphracts are absolutely incredible, guys. I tell you now, out of the 3 nomadic tribes, this is the best faction for sure, because of those Saka cataphracts. And they got the cataphract archers, although I'm not sure if they have the heavy shot though. It's not much point in getting them without the heavy shot, because the heavy shot's extremely useful, as I demonstrated just before. But the Masakate, in my opinion, is most certainly the best faction out of the 3 nomadic tribes. The other 2 are very cool. I think Royal Scythia is very cool. Roxodani is not quite as good in my opinion, but it's still cool. But the Masakate are definitely the best because of these Saka cataphracts, which are the best cavalry in the game as at the moment. So I reckon I've probably killed probably about 40% of his army so far. If we look over this battlefield, there's a lot of dead Spartan units, and there's a few horses for sure, but I've definitely got the better turnout of it as of so far. But as you can see, there's still so much left. You know, my guys are getting tired, and I've got no arrows left. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. If I brought more lighter horse archers, like say 10 of them, I'd have more time for more heavy shot and would have ripped up more units at first, sure, but at the same note, I wouldn't have had a stronger support when it came down to bringing my horse archers in. So here I make an attack here, a feint, so that's a feint there, so he goes to strike that, and then I bring in my Saka cataphracts here, and he's not probably going to be able to anticipate that. Okay, maybe he got kind of lucky there, I guess. Now I can come back in with this unit, and I can destroy that Spartan. So that's what you do. It's kind of like make it look like you're going to do one thing, then do something else, and then when he goes to face the other thing, do what you're originally going to do. But now it's kind of just getting units to get out of this. You know, if I can't get them to get out, it's going to really cause me problems. But it was very good for him that he had these Spartan pikemen, because I'm confident if he just had hoplite styles, like the Spartan hoplites and Royal Spartan stuff, I still would have taken losses for sure, but because they don't have the long pike, it would have been much easier. Because once those units get encircled, you know, it's kind of hard for them to actually use that weight of their power. So, you know, the pikes are a very good, you know, support unit, particularly if you know you're going to be up against a cavalry faction like this. I find a lot of Spartan players bring the armies like this guy's got because it's very effective. You can bring a crap ton of infantry, and you can use pikes to stop factions just charging you through. So, and then you can flank around with normal hoplites, and you can use your normal hoplites to screen out enemy cavalry. The only thing I think that the best way in which to defeat a Spartan player does is actually the use of peltasts, because the Spartan army is pretty immobile when it's like this, like it's just a big clump of very strong infantry, but peltasts tear through armour so quickly, particularly pikemen, but they'll still do it to like these Spartan hoplites and stuff as well. I've got a video where I actually do this sort of thing, 2 pike type units, and I don't know if I've tried it with Sparta yet, but it's a very good way to defeat Sparta or factions that have got hoplites and big supply. So peltasts are very good in this game, which I'm really pleased about, because I always wanted to use them in Rome 1, but they were pretty limited. So as you can see, I've done pretty well really for the most part, but I just can't kind of find enough men to deal with this. There's so many of them. So over here I was just trying to do this again, just trying to get this unit to single out. I'm just trying to make it tough to turn the micro, and I get it pretty good here, although this part's probably not so good. He did a pretty good job of organising that, so I've got to take my hat off to my opponent here. He was very, very good at using these guys, because it's quite tough to micro pikes and all that, and hoplites together, all those different spear type units, especially when I've got such a mobile army trying to pull them to pieces. But he knew to keep his army together, because he knew that would make my life difficult, and that was very smart. So here's a pretty big group of them that are being singled out, so I'm going to try and attack them. Although I actually think I went for these Spartan pikemen here, because I don't think he has no notice or just noticed that in time, so he about faced that very, very well, and I do lose quite a lot of cavalry for that, unfortunately, because he just spotted that, and I don't get it out in time very quickly with this, so that was bad. But fortunately though, I had a contingency there, and I get a nice flanking here. However, he's going to be able to support here. He's going to pull down here, so I'm going to put pressure on up here to try and even it out. So there's a lot of kind of like positioning here, and like I got to strike here so that he goes over there, and then bam, I got to go here. It's a lot of positioning and manoeuvring to get it right. Here I get a pretty good charge, but then he's prepared, you see, so I'm going to disengage. He's caught a couple of my units here, and I cannot get him out. Unfortunately, it's another one of my Sarka cataphracts, which I really can't afford to lose because they have my killing power. But he does a really good job of this. Like, he's keeping his men together, and it's very hard for me to deal with this, because this is so much here, and he's got all the advantage because they're all pikes and spears, which are good against cavalry. I knew it'd be difficult. I did deliberately kind of just to challenge myself, and I get another good charge here. And these Sarka cataphracts are doing well on their charges there, but because I can't sort of keep them in the battle long enough, they're not really racking up the kind of kills I'd normally get, but they're doing very well nonetheless. And look at these guys fly. So what was happening here? And they're starting to get kind of tired now as well, so let's get a nice charge. And I do get quite a few of those guys down. And as you can see, he keeps his formation constantly together, and it's really well. Even when he's moving like this, his formation's really close in. And I try to get some more of these guys in the charge, and I'm doing quite well. I've just got to constantly keep charging. These units are shock cavalry. You want to be charging, but as you can see, I just don't have the numbers to deal with this. And my men are starting to get quite tired and low on numbers, whereas he's lost a lot of men. There's no doubt. I didn't do a very good charge there. I didn't really see that, and that was my general. I was really worried I was going to lose my general then. So here I'm going to try this again, but see, he's not bracing when this happens, so I get a very good charge. I get a lot of damage in. I do a lot, but units that can brace against a cavalry charge are going to do well. However, now he's going to kind of outflank me with his pikes. But while this is happening, his formations become a little more messed up. But that doesn't really matter now, because I just don't have the numbers to do this, to break him up enough anymore. So even though I'm going to certainly try it, and I did get that unit of Spartan, one of those Spartan pikemen there, and a lot of his infantry did get routed. I'm going to lose quite a lot of men here. I'm going to try it over here now with his pressure on, but again he spots it, about faces it, and I can't sort of deal with it. So this opponent's a good opponent. He knows what he's doing with these pikes, that's for sure. I mean, you did have a big advantage considering the factions we're using. This is a very, very good way of dealing with my kind of army. But anyway, I'm just going to keep going at it, So here's a downhill charge with some of these guys here, and I do get a fairly good charge there. But again, these are horse archers, so they're not really great at that sort of thing. And I'm doing the absolute best I can here, but this is a huge ask, and it's just there's so much of it. But I mean, I've got to have taken 2/3 of this army out by now, which is so I get a pretty good rear flank charge there, and while that's happening I'm going to go for this part. But he anticipates I was going to do that, so he kind of charges into it. However, I did get pretty good angles there, but just look at the numbers, I don't have the numbers anymore, and as much as I did get that Spartan pikeman, as much as I can rally with my general and do the best I can, I just can't work around these numbers. So, if I'd brought more horse archers and done more damage through heavy shot, I might have had a better chance. Or if I'd brought more Sarka Cataphracts, it's hard to say, but I'm about to break here completely. But if I remember correctly, I got rid of about 1,500 of his men, which is slightly over, that's 2/3 of his army, or about 75% of it. It should end right now. Okay, here we go. So it's a costly enemy victory. I think he lost about 1,500 men, and of course I lost my whole horde. That was a very tough battle though, because I had huge numerical disadvantage, and of course he had all those spears and pikes, which are a great combo for destroying cavalry like this. But what I'd like to point out though is obviously Sarka Cataphracts are beasts, particularly when charging. They're the best cav at the game at the moment. And heavy shot, it's monstrous. It is just incredible. You saw how it just tore through those infantry like they were nothing. So I think it's hard to say. It's always hard to predict the build that someone's going to bring, and you have to try and anticipate it and work it into your plan. And to be honest, I probably should have expected he'd bring this many pikes. I thought he'd perhaps bring some slings. I was kind of hoping he would bring some slings so that he'd have less pikes, you see. But hard to say. I mean, I could have brought more Sarka Cataphracts to have more charging and killing power, or I could have brought more horse archers to have more heavy shot damage. It's hard to anticipate what to bring, but I take my hat off to my opponent. He was really good. Smart move there. He kept his army together, even though he took some nasty casualties from those arrows there and those charges. When he got separated out those couple of times, I really damaged him badly. He knew that. He quickly recovered from it and didn't repeat it, and it made it very hard. So I'm happy to lose to an opponent like this, a good opponent and a great game. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I did lose twice to this guy, and I don't have any more against him, but anyway, it was all good, and hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon next time.